We are back. The Casual Chaos Podcast. The Casual Chaos Podcast, Sports Wagering Community. It's 8:05 p.m. on a Thursday night. I'm JayAsh. I'm joined by Bubba and Jeff. As always, my co-host. Fellas, what is up?
What's going on, JayAsh? Jeff, how you doing?
Doing well. How you guys doing? All right?
Doing fantastic. We're recording a pod. This is exciting stuff.
All right. I agree.
Bubba, Tampa gear tonight. I like
Tampa gear. I got the throwback Brady jersey on here.
Who's that?
12. You know who that is. The greatest quarterback of all time.
Oh, controversial. But
let's hear it. Throw it at me. I named my dog Brady. I named my dog Brady after him. Then he won a Super Bowl. Doesn't get any better than that.
I think you're the first person that's ever named their dog Brady after Tom Brady. So if you guys are watching on YouTube or Spotify or wherever you pod for that matter, you saw our social media handles at Casual Chaos Live across all social media. So feel free to check us out. Send in your tickets, send in your comments. We'd love to hear from you. Again, for those joining us for the first time, we are the Casual Chaos Podcast. The whole point of what we're doing here is to talk about all things sports wagering, but more importantly, interact with the audience, the fan base. It's not about us. We're not touts. We're not trying to tell you what to do. While we do talk about our action, we like to hear from you and see your reaction to what you're doing out there, whether it's player props, parlays, straight bets, however you want to, present your action. Send us your tickets. We'll talk about it here in our talking ticket segment or our bragging rights segment. But either way, let's jump into the pod. Let's jump into what we're doing today. I guess in order to do that, though, we do have, even though it's Thursday, we have to talk about the Derby real quick. We spent a lot of time on it last week. We had Savantry win the Derby on Saturday. How did you guys make out? Did you win? Did you lose? Did you like the race? Did you like the slop? Quick oversight. What do you got?
I'll let Jeff go first.
They've had a bunch of good races recently, which is nice. As far as, I like I mentioned last week's pod, I threw some small bets on those four horses to win. None of them came in. Those horses being Burnham Square, Sandman, Citizen Bull, and Justified. And I don't think any of them were even close. One of them was the one horse was leading most of the race, but he got run down.
That was actually BK's horse, Neokos or whatever it was. There was the one horse, right? And then
Neoquist,
yeah. He was, I think he was second the whole way. He said it was the best 60 seconds of his life.
Yeah,
he was. I was talking to him via DM. He was pumped.
Well, it wasn't Justified. You took Jeff. He won a Triple Crown. He's really good at horse racing. So I forgot who your fourth horse was.
Yeah, who was the fourth? Oh, a Journalism. That's who it was.
Journalism.
The 8 horse. Yep, the 8 horse. I did fine all day. I mean, I again, you guys know I mentioned it. I was at Disney, right? So I'm on my phone the whole day. I'm betting. Won a couple like on the way there. Megan and I was like, just give me a number. We hit for like $300. Then I was fighting all day back and forth. I think when the Derby went off, I was down like close to like $800 just throughout the day. I mean, I was betting like $50-$60 on a race, and I just couldn't, like after the first one, couldn't hit. And at the last minute before the Derby started, I said, I went to my little app, my Twin Spires app. Shout out Twin Spires.
Oh,
and I'm looking at it, and I see they have the 8 horse, and they had, God, I forget what the second favorite that they had outside of Journalism, and then they had the 18 horse, and I said, I'm just going to throw 100 on each of these, and I did it at the last second, and it came in, and it got me like up $50 for the whole day.
Nice.
So it was nice. Yeah, it worked out, but it was fun. I mean, the slop. I love the slop. I loved it all day. I mean, there wasn't bombs coming in all day, but it wasn't the favorite all day. And I like that about it. You got a chance to kind of hit some horses with some decent odds, throw some, we talked about it, throw some on the exotics, throw some of those long shots in there. And some of them were coming through. It was a fun day to watch horses. Now I was thinking about this, right? would you want to be there? I mean, you've been there a few times, right? I think you said you've been
I've
like
been
7
in the
or 8
rain.
times.
Yeah.
Like, is it as enjoyable? Like, because you're battling all day, right? So like, if it's raining like that all day from the time you get there, and then really the excitement happens when the race goes off, the 20 minutes before the race or whatever it is. Is it? I mean, is it enjoyable? It's kind of a stupid question, right? I'm sure the Kentucky Derby is fucking awesome, but like to sit in the rain like that all day, I don't know if I would want to do that.
Well, you don't sit in the rain. It all depends on where you sit. So if you're in the infield, you're shit out of luck. It's a miserable day. Jeff and I have been to several Preaknesses together where it's, bitter cold, raining. You're just like, you're literally grabbing trash bags from people and putting them on over your body. Very hobo-ish. And you drink.
And
You drink to stay warm.
Yeah, you're just getting hammered.
We've been very fortunate. Every time we go to the Derby, we're in, nice seating that's covered. Specifically. So if it does rain, you have that. Depending on what type of section you're in, there's, like literally underground places that, serve food, drinks, etc.
Right.
So you kind of stay dry. You come up to your seats to watch the race, rinse and repeat. So
Right.
You lose a little bit of the pageantry. I feel bad for the women because,
they want all dressed up.
Yeah. But they're bringing the heels. They're taking the pictures in the heels and then they're immediately switching the flats, and you got to carry a bag around all day with the shoes. If you're a guy, you're getting muddy. It's unavoidable. You're going to step in something. So you're dressed up nice, unless you're in Millionaires Row or in the new Paddock Club and things along those lines. You're gonna hit a little bit of the elements, but otherwise it's still a good day.
Yeah.
I still get nervous for the horses, especially in a 20 gate. It looks like they're on ice skates coming out of the gate. The first.
Well, do you see the one horse?
The
Did you see the one horse just like immediately cut in front of everybody and almost tripped that second or third horse up?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
That's what you got to do. So, it was a good race. I posted on our social at Casual Chaos Live about 2 hours before the race, maybe even 3 hours. But I gave out Savantry, I gave out journalism, I gave out Baeza as a sneaky play. So if you were paying attention, could have made some money. But I cleaned up on a race. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Hit the pick six, hit the winner, hit second, hit the place, hit the exacta. So great day overall. A lot of fun watching the race leading up to it was probably the most animated I was, even more than the Derby, just because the horse that helped me win the pick six to get 5 out of 5 before the 6 had to come from behind. So there was a lot of screaming in the house. We had a bunch of little kids over here. So my 3-year-old's picked up an F-bomb and he's been very liberal with it all week. So that's on me. I'll wear it, but
very nice.
It was worth it. He was gonna figure it out eventually.
When they say it, it's so much more cute when they say it though. When we say it, it's not that cute.
My wife thinks so anyway.
But no, let's talk about how the winner of the Kentucky Derby is not going to race in the Preakness. Is that? I mean, I don't know. I have an opinion on that. I do have an opinion on that.
It's been a while, right, since they've bowed out of the Preakness.
Yeah. Well, listen, we'll do a preview next week. Not nearly as extensive as the Derby, but
right.
My immediate reaction was fuck that horse, fuck the trainer.
Yeah.
And the reality is the excuse they gave was to prepare for the Belmont. And the reality is if you thought your horse was Triple Crown worthy and could win the Derby, then he has to run all 3.
Right.
And so barring an injury or something we don't know, there's no reason to skip the Preakness. And the Belmont is not the Belmont because it's being run at Saratoga again because they're redoing the Belmont track. So the whole point of the Belmont is the endurance, the length of that race. It's the longest out of the Triple Crown. And if you can win the first 2, that's the race that typically either a bomb comes off or something blows up the Triple Crown because of the distance.
Right.
So to suggest that you're going to prepare him for that just tells us that you didn't expect to win the Derby and you're going to play it safe and hopefully show up for Saratoga. But the reality is, I'm going to bet against him regardless in Saratoga. I got a lot of thoughts on the Preakness, so that's my.
We'll get to it next week.
Take.
Yeah, definitely something we're going to talk about for sure because I have a take on it too. But let's move on.
All right. Well, Jeff, we're going to move on. We're going to do some betting 101. Are you excited?
Absolutely. Let's talk parlays.
All right. So as we discussed earlier in last week's pod, we're going to do this segment a little bit going to keep it kind of short and sweet, but we want everybody to understand, if you're listening and you're not an avid gambler, what we're talking about. So we bring up parlays a lot, parlays in sports gambling. It's a very simple concept. You're taking multiple teams, starting at 2 teams and run it out as far as you want to go. And when you're doing it, you're expecting both teams to win. So if you're, the Yankees and the Rays are, Yankees are playing the Red Sox, Rays are playing the Blue Jays, and you think the Yankees and the Rays are going to win, and you want to put in a 2-team parlay because you want to increase the value of your bet, increase the odds. So on a $10 bet, you're going to get paid 13-5 on a $2 bet versus 2 $10 bets, where if you win one, lose one, you would lose a little bit of what's called juice, right? So you're going to lose $10 in that situation. Or you can combine the two, and if you win them both, instead of winning $20 on 2 individual $10 plays, you're going to win on your 13-5 odds. So you're going to win $65. Okay. So when we extrapolate that out and say it's a 3-team, right? So insert a 3-team there, or 3rd team there. And let's use basketball. Let's just say we got the Celtics, we've got the Cavs, and we've got the Nuggets. All right. So 3 teams on a $10 bet, that's going to pay you 6-1. So when you're looking at 6-1, what does that mean? If you're not familiar with the terminology, you have a $10 bet, you hit all 3 of those plays. You're going to take your $10 and multiply it by 6. So you're going to win $60. All right, Jeff, anything to add there?
Yeah. So to be clear, let's use the 3-team example that Ash just mentioned. This is one bet, right? But you're betting 3 games. So you have to win all 3 games to win the bet.
Correct.
That's why the odds are as high as they are. Ash just talked about 6-1. The reason why they're 6-1 is it's harder to win 3 games in a single bet than it is obviously to win 1 game in a single bet. So these types of bets are very popular. The good news about them is, you could sort of just be a novice type bettor and throw $5 or $10 on a 3 or 4 team parlay, and you could get a pretty decent payout, and people like the action with those types of bets. Of course, you'll see people make large bets too and try to win hundreds of thousands of dollars on these types of bets. But parlays are usually people messing around with low bets and just hoping to get lucky and, win a 10-1 or a 21 type bet. So,
yeah, I think for the most part, especially, if you're talking Vegas, if you're talking, bookies, $50, $100, $200, $500 parlays, they've been around a long time. But those are typically 2-team, 3-team parlays.
Mm-hmm.
As you go up, again, the graphics down, but for those listening, a 3 team's going to pay 6-1, 4 teams going to pay 10-1, 5 teams going to pay 20-1, 6 teams going to pay 40-1, 7 teams going to pay 75-1, 8 teams going to pay 150-1. So you can just see how it keeps compounding as you go. Obviously, it is increasingly difficult to win an 18 parlay, a 19 parlay, 10-team parlay. So you don't see a lot of people throwing big money at it. Since the introduction to, like, we're here in Florida, Hard Rock Bets, if we're talking to somebody there, I would guarantee that parlays are the number 1 bets, because it allows people to take, $2, $3, $5.
Small risk. Yeah.
Right. The parlay card you used to get in the office for football season, things like that. Hey, I'll bet every game, and $5. And as a fact, Jeff, I think you sent me a tweet the other day that somebody, what was 20-something thousand?
I think it was a $1 bet
on a $1 bet
every baseball game, right? Is that what they did?
Yeah, exactly. So it's there. Just so there's some clarity too. These are like fixed odds bets, and what I mean by that is, again, when you place a wager, typically you're gonna see, if you're taking a point spread, insert team here +5, that's going to be accompanied by a -110, spread. And what that means is that's the juice. So for every $100, you're paying 110 to win 100. The casinos are basically looking to middle out. right? They want equal action on both sides of those bets. That 10-cent juice, as it's called, is where they actually make their money, right? So 50% of the people take one side, 50% take another side. Everybody that's $100. The losing side pays that extra 10 cents. That begins to add up into astronomical amounts of money. When you do a parlay with a money line, right? So baseball, or if you're picking underdogs or favorites for that matter, it actually increases the odds. So an example would be if I'm doing a $10 3-team parlay, right? Again, 6-1 is the odds of a normal parlay. But if I use bet number 1, they're plus 200. Bet number 2, they're minus 120. And bet number 3, they're plus 130. That's actually going to take my odds from 6-1 to plus 1165. Okay. So instead of 6-1 on my money, I'm a little over 11-1 coming up on 12-1.
Right. And let's just to stop for a second. So what you're saying there is if you throw a couple underdogs in your parlay, you're going to get better odds, right? Bigger payouts. So,
correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So again, we're calling this segment 101 because we could talk about this. We actually, hey, quick insight here. Maybe we just have a podcast betting 101.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
we should.
So yeah, we really should. Something to think about. Producer Tyler, write that down. We'll revisit it. So, but
Noted.
In all seriousness, we don't want to get too deep in it, but we're going to keep doing these segments. So eventually we'll get around to everything and where all these odds, where it plays out, how it makes sense for you. And if we can help you approach things in a different way, great. Parlays are fun. They're not probable, right? I will say most sharps will tell you, especially during football season.
What's a sharp, Jay?
Sharp is either a professional gambler or somebody who bets an awful lot of money on a regular basis and typically wins.
Right, and to be clear, it's not a shark, a sharp. So
sharp.
People get those confused all the time.
Sharp better, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just is my mic on? Hope I'm enunciating correctly. So what I mean by that is, if you like 3 teams, you should like them equally, and we'll get into unit betting, things along those lines. But if you're going to bet, and let's use that low number, $10, if you want to bet at a 6-1 that you have to win all 3 games, if you win 2 out of 3 on a parlay, you're going to lose money. Whereas if you bet those individually, $10 a piece, you'd win 20, lose 10 or 12, depending on your juice, you would actually net a profit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Right. So we'll get into that type of stuff as we continue with the pod, as our listeners continue to grow by the droves.
It's so crazy
information for you.
And it's so crazy too, because like we're talking about it right in 101 and we got to keep it simple. Right. But like now parlays are different, right? Because you can take 2 games that happen tomorrow and then 2 games or 1 game that happens Sunday. If your 2 games hit, you may get a cash out offer from one of these sports books. This is a new thing that's like, 2-3 years old, where these cash out offers are coming into play because the casinos are getting smart, right? Or I guess they've always been smart, but you know what I mean? It's a different aspect to it.
It's the access. It's the mobile access.
Right.
It's enticing new gamblers. And this goes all the way in. Listen, again, a whole nother podcast segment of before legalized sports gambling in every state, and when it was just in Las Vegas, and there was these things called bookies, right?
Yeah.
And then overseas accounts, etc. So we could spend a ton of time on it, but since we're talking, let's talk tickets. Producer Tyler, what do we got?
Beautiful segue. We'll start off. Yeah.
When do I get to rant about the Celtics?
After talking tickets.
All right.
So we'll start with the loser, and I'll just start with myself. Unfortunately, I had Donovan Mitchell. We'll talk a little Eastern Conference here. Donovan Mitchell to score 50 points. I believe this was Monday night. Tuesday night. Tuesday night, I believe. And scored 48. So, and they were winning the whole game. If that game goes to overtime, I think he missed 4 or 5 free throws. He had like 18 free throws, so I can't really be that mad, but tough.
Yeah, he was. I think it was 17 for 21. I think 17 for 21.
Yeah,
but he only shot 1 for 7 from 3, so that's rare for him.
Yeah, so tough
got
to
bit both
be
ways.
that upset. It was only a $5 bet. I just kind of threw a flyer because I think their whole team was injured pretty much. So I just kind of threw it out there, and I thought it was going to hit. It looked great for a while, and then they ended up losing that game, which is crazy as well.
It falls into the bad beat category. Missed free throws will always kick your ass, but you throw in the element that game probably should have went to overtime, which inevitably you would have won the bet. But it's a tough beat.
Well, the crazy thing there is the Pacers. It was the second game in 3, right? That they were losing by 7 points in the final minute of the game and won. And that had only happened, I think, one other time in the playoffs over the past 20 years. So they just did it twice in like the past week. You know?
And who did it?
Tyrese
the
Halliburton.
first time?
Yeah.
I don't remember. No.
Reggie Miller.
The Knicks game? Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's longer than 20 years ago, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was 95.
Yeah.
Like 94, 95. Yeah.
Okay, so is that 30 years ago
30
already?
years ago.
Right. So
Yep,
we weren't born
math.
yet.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, tough loss there. I mean, both the Eastern Conference 1 and 2 seeds have their hands full right now. We'll get to it, but had another loser here, unfortunately. We had JP. He had the Celtics -6.5 over the Magic. So this is a little bit ago. He had the Nuggets +1.5, the Rockets money line to beat the Warriors, and then he had the Lightning to beat the Panthers, and I believe this was Game 5 of the playoffs here. So I think he hit the first 3 in the last bet of the night with the Lightning, let him down, and caught the L here. So it was all looking great, and he was probably, if he's anything like Bubba, he was watching the hockey game very intently, and he was probably very upset when he lost this bet, unfortunately.
Yeah, the Rockets and the Lightning games were actually on when we were recording that pod last Wednesday. So we all had an eye on those games, and he, like you said, he won the first 3, and unfortunately Tampa didn't come through. So,
yep. And then on the back end here, we have you talk about those sharp bettors. We got a smart cat right here. Eduardo sent this to us on Instagram. Smart guy. He took 2 sides of this, so we kind of have a loser, but we also have a winner, and you guys can kind of talk about why this is kind of smart here. He took the Knicks to beat the Pistons the other night, but not only did he take the Nuggets to win against the Clippers, and I'm not sure if this was Game 7 night. I don't believe it was. I think it was Game 6 maybe. But he also so he bet $35 to win $215 on the Nuggets to win. But then he also took the other side of it, which was the Knicks to still win against the Pistons, but the Clippers to win the game. So he kind of hedged his bet, and you guys can kind of go into what, kind of quickly describe what hedging is. But smart, little sharp gambling node right there. When the Knicks win, Knicks don't win, it doesn't matter. But the Knicks picked up the W, so it kind of opened up his options a little bit there, and he was smart to take both sides to it. So he still won money, won about $210 on it.
Right. So
soon as the Knicks won, he was in good shape.
Yeah. He was willing to lose $30 to hopefully win 200. So that was basically what he was trying to do there. And like Tyler said, I mean, the key is the Knicks. The Knicks had to win the game, which they did. So he made out.
So he was actually prepared to lose $65 there because what he was doing was what's called an anchor. Maybe we should have brought that up in the 101 segment. But what he did is he anchored the Knicks. So his most confident play was the Knicks, and he anchored it and basically said, I'm willing to lose $65 if the Knicks lose. But this way I'm going to win after the Knicks win if one of these 2 teams win.
Right.
And if you look at the spread difference, it was, I think, win 235 or 215. So obviously, he was in a situation where he was going to middle the winning out. He's either going to pick up 180, 185 to 215, something along those lines. So the anchor plays. So savvy play by Eduardo. So congrats on that. I like it.
Yeah, that plus 425 on the Knicks is huge.
Yeah. Knicks are winning basketball games. So maybe we'll talk about it.
Maybe the best team in the East. We'll get there. We'll talk about another winner. I think we got 2 more winners here.
I can't wait to hear Jeff do.
Oh man, it's exciting, isn't it? And just the anticipation of all the fans are just waiting for Jeff to blow up on these Knicks. But before we get there, we're going to talk a little soccer. Before we get there, Jeff, you got to wait just a little bit longer. So we had Patterson put this one in, sent it to us on Instagram. Again, send us your bets. He had Paris Saint-Germain, or PSG, as a lot of people know him if you're a FIFA guy. Little bet here, $13 bet, but he won $30, so doubled up his money. They beat, looks like Arsenal, probably Champions League play this is. So good little W there for Patterson. Thanks for sending that in. Again, send it to us, guys. Instagram, all that stuff works for us. We can get it on here, so send us your winners. We love to see the green. Everyone sends the bet before it's a winner. Once it's a winner, guys, send it in. Brag about it.
Yeah, absolutely. We love to see you guys winning, no doubt.
Absolutely.
I don't know much to add on the soccer play other than good bet.
Yeah, I mean, when it first popped up, I go, that sounds like a really, really nice, like, bubbly water, or like a nice pair of shoes or something like that, like the name of the team. But now I know it's PSG. I know them more as PSG than I do their real name.
Correct.
Shows you how much I know about soccer.
Paris Saint-Germain.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you got to say it with a little bit of an accent. And then our last winner of the day, while we're talking tickets here, we got I Watch Ball again. Sent us another, I believe this is another home run parlay. This guy he nails these home run parlays. He had Rafael Devers and Trevor Larnach, both to hit a home run the other night. It's a $113 bet, 2-leg parlay, and took home a little over $3,500. So another, this guy does watch ball. I don't know how many bets he's throwing out there, but whenever he sends them to us, they seem like they're winning.
And this is just real quick. This is a good example to what we were talking about earlier about the odds for the parlay get exceedingly higher if you're betting something that you're getting plus odds on, right? So Devers is plus 375, meaning if you were just going to bet that straight to win, if you made $100 bet, you would win 375. And the same thing with Larnach. If you bet $100, you would win 575. You put those together, those two unlikely things happening, and his $112 bet paid him out $3,600. So you can see how those parlays multiply, exponentially when you're betting quote unquote underdogs to win, or in this case, hit a home run. So
yeah, absolutely. And we talked about it. You guys were great talking about the parlays and stuff, but it's something that I always like to do when we're talking football season. A dollar bet, and I'm kind of one of those guys that like the little risk. $1 bet in all the 1:00 games. You bet a touchdown scorer, anytime touchdown scorer. A lot of fun to just, whenever there's a touchdown, who was it? And as you get closer to the end there, it gets really fun if you do, to Bubba's point, have a little payout option. If you do have a 4:00 game in there, like, oh, all my 1:00's hit, now my payout's pretty sizable here. So those are a lot of fun when we get closer to football season. If you guys are novice bettors, that's just something fun because you can just put $1 on it and they pay out pretty well.
Yeah, and what's our guy's name again? Watch Ball?
I Watch Ball.
I Watch Ball. At 30-1, put $112.90 on it. I want to know what app we're using. We're doing incremental 112.90. But there seems to be some sharpness to that activity because it's a sizable bet at what's making it 30-1. But that goes back to what I was saying earlier, Jeff. Like 2 and 3 team parlays, it's not uncommon for the 100+ better to get in here, depending on what your unit is. That's not a let's bet 10 or 12 games for $1 and hope. That's somebody that's got some knowledge at what they're doing, but very strategic in the play. So we might have to reach out to that guy and see what his special sauce is.
We should tell him to start sending those in before they cash, so we can piggyback on them.
He probably wants something in return. We'll see.
I'm sure.
We can add another square to the pod and have him on.
There you go.
Special guest.
We'll take his picks we'll put a little square there. Yeah. Only if it hits though.
All right. We got anything else, Tyler?
Oh, we got a couple of you. If we want to talk about some stuff that, we have a couple guys that have sent in some bets that are kind of down the pipeline, some quote unquote futures bets.
What's open?
Yeah, we got a couple here. Let me just make sure I got the right names on them here, but I'll pull them up on the screen for you guys that are watching on YouTube. So we have one here with the Florida Panthers getting the W. And if anybody knows them off the top of their head, who sent these in, if you guys saw them
This
come
is
in
from
as
Spanky.
well. Spanky. So Spanky is taking the Florida Panthers to come back and win this series. They're down 2-0. I'm not sure when he put it in. Looks like they're minus 235, so they had to have put this in before the series started because they're down 2-0 right now.
No, this is just a single bet. This is for
okay.
the series.
This is just for a
the
game. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
this is to not go down 3-0.
Gotcha. The way it read, I didn't know. So yeah, okay,
Yeah.
that makes more sense then.
Yeah.
It makes way more sense being at home. I believe they're at home for this next game. So this next one that I believe was Spanky as well was the Celtics game series. So this is the Celtics series is how this one reads. So they are still minus money. So Jeff, we can kind of go into your segment here of how much do the Knicks suck. We can go into that segment here now for you to kind of kick it off with a little bit of NBA talk. But we do have Spanky here taking the Celtics. They're going to come back and win this series down 2-0 already. Lost both games at home. So Jeff, I think the floor is yours if Bubba and Jay don't mind. You kind of just giving us your two thoughts on what's going on in the NBA.
Yeah, I'll rant here for a minute or so, and then we can open it back up. So to be clear, the Knicks don't suck, okay? What the Knicks are not is better than the Celtics. That's anybody who's watched those games, it's pretty clear that the Celtics are the better team. The thing that's driving me insane isn't necessarily that the Knicks are winning because, hey, they're doing what they have to do at the end of the games. They're making shots, right? They really have no margin for error because they're down by so much going into the fourth quarter usually. They're making the shots. The thing that's driving me nuts is about the Celtics. This is the team that won the championship last year. This is the team that's played in 1 million playoff games since 2017. They should know better than some of the mistakes that they made, especially in game one. Because in game one, again, if you follow the NBA, you know that they threw up 60 3-pointers in that game. Only made 15. Hard to win games when you're shooting 15 for 60 from three. All right. And the problem with them is that they just kept firing them up. And I saw a stat that the majority of the shots that they shot were quote unquote good shots, that the guys were open by at least 3 feet. But anybody who's played basketball knows that if you're having an off night and you're just not making your shot, you take the ball to the hole, you do something different, you shoot from the paint, which an NBA hates those little mid-range shots, but you got to try something different. The most aggravating thing about that was in the first half, they were driving to the hole. They were getting fouled. They got Towns into foul trouble. They had other players in foul trouble. And then they just completely abandoned all that in the second half. So that drove me nuts. This past game, I just don't understand how you could have what happened to you in game one, and then you're up by 20 again with 3 minutes left in the third quarter. And then all of a sudden, JayAsh will tell you, because I was texting with them during the game, I was actually watching the Yankees. And I flipped over back to the Celtics, and they were only up 4 points. And I was like, what the hell is going on here? And then the guy said they hadn't scored a basket in 6 minutes. I was like, you got to be freaking kidding me, you know?
Was it the same thing, though, Jeff? Did they do the same exact thing where they just stopped driving to the hole? They stopped doing, or what was it? Did you
No,
see?
so it was more that they, and again, Jay, you were watching the whole game, so maybe you could speak more to this. But from what I saw from like the last 4 minutes of the game moving on, they were taking the ball to the hole. The problem was they were taking fadeaway jumpers in the paint. You know what I mean? They weren't taking, even though they were taking closer shots, they weren't taking good shots.
Right.
And again, they're way too talented. You know, they beat the Knicks 4 straight times during the regular season. In 3 of those games, they pounded them. They were pounding the Knicks in both games late in the second half, and somehow they went 0-2 in those games. Now, to be clear, they're still going to win the series. I'll be shocked if the Celtics don't win the series. I don't feel the same about the Cavs. I thought the Pacers were going to be, very competitive. We talked about that last week. And now with Mobley hurt, and I don't know if he's going to be playing in game 3 or whatnot, but I think the Pacers have a real shot to win that series, maybe in 5 or 6 games. I mean, that might not even go 7. I'll be shocked if the Celtics lose, but obvious statement is obvious. They have to win game 3. They obviously can't fall behind 0-3. So
yeah.
All right, there's my rant. This would have been a lot more fun if we did this yesterday because I was hot yesterday. But
Well,
go ahead, Ash.
we don't typically record it 10 o'clock at night. So
yeah, well, maybe we should once do a little live pod. We should do that one of these days.
Emergency pod. Yeah,
Exactly.
Emergency pod.
this goes to coaching to a degree.
I was going to mention that. Yeah.
The NBA it's an adult league. It's a grown-up league, right? The players, if you're going to be elite, typically you're going to figure out a way to win. Or if you look at, Joker, even though they got blown out last night, it's a kind of an anomaly. But at some point in time, the star takes charge. And what we're seeing with the Celtics is Tatum is All-NBA. He's going to be All-NBA again this year. He was All-NBA last year. But you don't hear Tatum talked about in the top 4 or 5 guys in the league or the world, if you will. He's right there. He's capable. And if you saw the last 24 seconds, they finally came out of a timeout because second row Joe finally called a timeout, stealing that from Bill Simmons, hashtag. But they inbounded the ball. He got the ball right before their own foul line, and he proceeded to go straight down the court, full speed, and dunk the ball. And you could do that anytime you want to a degree,
Yeah.
right? Get to the hoop. But instead, if you look at the last 12 seconds of the game, instead of drawing up a play, the coach says, here, go and get it. And Tatum decides to dribble around and then dribble himself into a corner fadeaway, and then everybody's shocked when the ball gets blocked. Even if it doesn't get blocked, is that shot going in? Is that the high percentage shot?
That's not the one you want. Yeah.
I don't think so. So, a little bit of a ramble here on my part, but the reality is the Popoviches of the world, and a friend of mine said this earlier today, Pop used to say, if you're leaving a game with timeouts or going into the half with timeouts, you're wasting them, right? You're going to lose that close game every time if you're not using your timeouts.
You don't get them for the next game.
Yeah, Steve Kerr called a timeout against Houston last week because he with 10 seconds to go in the shot clock, because he realized without Butler on the floor, he wasn't going to get the shot he wanted.
Yeah.
Right. That's where the coaches come into the NBA and do things. Look at these guys are approaching, SGA is probably going to sign a contract next year that's going to pay him $1 million a game. Right. And Aaron Rodgers coined a phrase years ago. What's the difference between college and the pros? In college, you refer to your coach as coach. In the NBA, NFL, MLB, you refer to them by their first name. Right. It's men talking to men. All right. If I'm making $1 million a game, you better have something to say that is actually instructive or is going to help me win. Otherwise, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to do what I want to do. And the winning teams, the winning coaches over the years, look at the dynasties, look at everything. They all had a central figure that they had elite talent, but they had a figurehead that knew how to manage it. And right now, I don't know if Mazzulla is that guy. Well, he's got a championship, but this is symptomatic. If they don't win this series, it's not like he's going to get fired, but he's going to have to reevaluate what they're doing.
Yeah, he has a very clear system, and to his credit, the players buy into it. So,
sure,
because his system is, he goes. Everybody is 3-point happy in the NBA these days, or in all basketball. If we're being honest, but he's way above and beyond what most people. He would be happy if the Celtics shot 63s a game. He has publicly said that, and not joking. He would be fine with that. Okay, yeah. So the players do buy into the system. They believe in it. They believe in him. So that part of, that's always the most important thing when it comes to coaches is, do you actually respect the guy, right? But to your point, Jay, he's got to make this. He's got to make certain decisions. Okay, and not calling a timeout at the end of that game obviously didn't work out, because it'd be one thing if they lost, they got a good shot and they lost. They just didn't make the shot. But they had no idea what the hell they were doing, And again, this is where Tatum knows better. Tatum has had monster playoff games where he's put the team on his back. He scored 50 points. He's done that multiple times, okay? He knows how to take over a game, and they needed him to do that yesterday, and he just didn't. And, Brown's banged up. Porzingis is barely playing because he's got this mystery virus that nobody can figure out what it is. Holiday is kind of banged up. So, Tatum's got the wrist injury, but he scored 3 straight games. He scored 35 points, 3 straight games. The one after he missed that one game in the first round, right? So I don't want to hear about the wrist. His wrist is fine because it was fine a week ago. Why is it not fine now? He needs to do. Look, he needs to have a huge game. And I don't think they play tomorrow. I think they get 2 days off, so I think they play on Saturday. But he needs to have a huge game, and like I said, they have to win. If they win, even if they go down 3-1, if they win game 3 and then lose game 4, I still think they're going to win the series. But I'd obviously feel a lot better if they go back to Boston 2-2. Now, they're the best road team in basketball. They have been all year. So I expect that they'll go win and win an MSG. But the Garden's going to be crazy, man. The Garden's going to be out of control. So
yeah, it is.
It'll be a fun night of basketball, that's for sure.
They've been putting out a mandate too, because there's a lot of Knicks fans in the Celtics building the other night, and they're the prices are going to be absurd, but they're saying do not let Celtics fan in our building. So we'll see if New York rallies.
Bubba, you wanted to say something, Bubba. What did you want to say?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
I thought I cut you off there. I didn't mean to. So sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're popular enough to get aggregated quite yet. So
No.
I'll just go ahead and get this out there and see how we come back next Wednesday, Thursday when we record. But not only do I think Indiana's going to win the series, Jeff, I think they're going to sweep.
You think so?
I do, especially if Mobley's hurt. We just saw Mitchell, as Tyler pointed out earlier, he had 48 and they found a way to lose. That Indiana did not play their best game. Clearly they're going to go home. They got a lot of momentum. And while there's a do or die for Cleveland, I think if you're Indiana, Carlisle's been there before. They've got that team actually is experienced, playoff experience. They battled the Celtics last year. I think they come out and they step on the neck. And I don't see any way Cleveland, I think Cleveland goes home after they go down 3-0. So
well, that would certainly be interesting because, sometimes a team has the best record in a conference and it's kind of with smoke and mirrors. Like you don't really believe in that team, right? When you go into the playoffs. I think most people thought Cleveland was for real. So it would be interesting if they get swept.
They are, but again, this isn't our show is not like, we're not the NBA deep dive show here. Right? It's, but I know you and I, we follow the NBA, pretty closely, and we do listen to a lot of shows. And, there was a big segment post All-Star break where Cleveland was basically a 500 team.
Yeah.
Right. So it's one of those things after they won, I think 12 straight, 13 straight, something along those lines. They dipped pretty heavy. Injuries always play a part in the playoffs. You can't, if you're a fan base, you can make excuses and that's fine. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. If your best player or top 2 or 3 players are not playing in a game, it's going to make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
We're coming up on Timberwolves Golden State tonight. Steph Curry's not playing. Is anybody shocked if Golden State doesn't win? But more importantly, if Golden State doesn't win tonight, the first word out of everybody's mouth is, well, Steph Curry didn't play. Okay.
Right.
So injuries are going to happen. It's a long season. Everybody's banged up. And if you can't go, you can't go. So I just think the Pacers are far better, like we said, far better than people understood. And if you're the Celtics or the Knicks, look out for the Pacers.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't. So anyway, let's get there. I mean, we'll see. I mean, hey, we might come back next Thursday and we'll find out if you're right or not, because they'll be through 4 games at that point. So we'll see if that series is still going or not.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, I think we can wrap up the NBA segment with, OKC and Denver's 1-1. OKC, 8 guys in double figures last night, wound up throttling Denver, the first game of the series, in an epic Joker performance. 40 plus, 22 rebounds, 6 assists, like unheard of numbers. Just kind of goes back to what we're talking
ridiculous.
about. Yeah, he's the best player on the planet right now.
Yeah.
It's tough to argue.
And it looks like when he does it too, he's not even trying. That's what's crazy about it.
He might be a player coach right now too.
I think he is. He's certainly an assistant coach. There's no doubt about that. So.
Yeah. So, and then like we said, the Wolves are down. T-Wolves are down 0-1 tonight. No Steph Curry. We'll see what happens there.
Yeah, I mean, even if Curry was playing, I still would expect Minnesota to win that series.
You have to think Ant comes out firing.
Yeah, but if Curry's really going to be out for a week, that means he might miss games 2, 3, and 4. Tough for Golden State to win in that scenario.
No doubt.
Yeah,
no doubt.
So.
All right. Well, let's jump out of this and get into bragging rights. And I'm pretty sure not a lot of bragging rights from last week, but we're going to do it anyway. We're going to do it. It's what we do.
Yeah, no, another week of no bragging rights here on the Casual Chaos podcast. Jeff, we had yours first here. I believe you had the Red Sox money line. You had the Mets money line. You had the total runs over 9.5 in the Yankees-Orioles game. And then you had the Dodgers minus 1.5. I think
So
the
when we
Yankees
taped-
game, was it that one that did
Yeah,
poorly for you?
Yeah, so when we taped the pod last week, the Dodgers had already won. The Mets and the Red Sox were both winning, and I needed one more run in that Yankees-Orioles game. The run never came, and the Mets and Red Sox both ended up losing late, so it ended up being a nightmare. But at least I wasn't eliminated before the pod ended. That was the first
Small
time.
victory.
Go 1-3 or 0-4?
No, 1-3. I won the Dodgers
1-3.
game. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we had Jay's bet here. We had the Rockets minus 1.5, the Lakers minus 2.5. Those are both first quarter spreads. And then we had the Nuggets plus 6.5 over the Clippers. And then we had Jake Knapp to finish in the top 10. What was the one that did you in there, Jay?
I actually split. I went 2-2. The Lakers didn't show up at home. Minnesota rolled them. And then Jake Knapp, decided to take his nappy hair and go somewhere else.
And then we had Bubba. Bubba, we had you with the Cubs money line. We had the Cleveland Cavaliers money line, the Knicks money line, and then we had the over 7 runs in the Cleveland Guardians.
I think the
and
only
Minnesota
one
Twins
that
game.
I lost, but again, parlay, lose one, lose it all, was the Twins Guardians game. Ended at 6, and I needed it to at least go to 7 to push and get the other three bets to hit. But they stopped at 6, so I ended up obviously no bragging rights here.
Stop the count.
Yep.
Tough. Well, we have another week, boys. We have another week, and we have another opportunity. So
Is this 2 weeks without a winner? Or?
I think maybe
Yeah,
2 or 3.
It's
I
definitely
think we
2,
had one of
but
the first 2 weeks, and I think we're dry here.
I'm feeling good about this one. I'm feeling good about this one.
I love it. Jeff, why don't you lead us off here? You can talk about your picks for this week.
Well, I'm not feeling good about this one because the only game that I got that's playing right now is the Phillies and Rays. That's at the bottom of the ticket there, and I got over 8.5 runs in that game. But they're in the 7th right now, and it's only 2-1. So we need an offensive explosion there. Hopefully, somebody will hit a grand slam. The other parts of this ticket is up at the top in the Timberwolves game tonight. I have Buddy Hield hitting at least 4 3-pointers. And then I have OKC minus 4.5 tomorrow night, and I got the Celtics minus 4.5. I think they play on Saturday. So, but none of that matters if the Phillies and Rays don't put up more than 8.5 runs in this game. So we'll see what happens.
I like that ticket. Otherwise,
yeah, man, the Celtics line is only minus 4.5.
I moved it down a point.
Okay, gotcha. Well, it's still minus 5.5. They could win that game by fucking 40.
Yeah, well, I hope so.
At least the third quarter, they might be winning it, but who knows what the
yeah, maybe if they're up 30 in the third, they'll actually hold on at the end of the game. So,
well, we have that. Hopeful for you that the Rays get going here and score some runs for you, Jeff.
Real quick, so if you look up the top of the ticket parlay, it's a 4-leg parlay. The odds are plus 1169, so $25 bet will pay $317.
So $100 bet would pay out $1,169 for you guys as well.
Correct.
So Jay, we got yours here. You could fire it off on yours.
yeah, the only game I have tonight, because I'm just convinced that if you bet on the night of the pod, you're going to lose. Timberwolves -9. I bought that down, so it's minus 145. But off of this, I have a straight up play with the Timberwolves -4 in the first quarter. If they don't come out hot tonight, I'd be shocked. I think Ant takes over the game
I
early.
think they're already up like 15.
Yeah. Okay. So without Curry, I just don't see how this is a close ball game. I got the Pacers to win because they're an underdog at home tomorrow night.
That's
So
interesting.
yeah, so I saw that, jumped all over it. I think Joker, whether they win or lose tomorrow night, I think that's a triple double waiting to happen. He rested a little bit last night after the blowout. So this is the typical, maybe it's a 28, 14, 11 type game for Joker. And then you guys know I love golf in top tens. So Russell Henley in an elevated event, no cut field, plus 230 was tasty, Tyler. So I threw that in there, elevated the odds a little bit. 25 wins, 659. Let's call it 660. And I'm feeling good.
Yeah, I like that Russell Henley call. He plays well in these bigger events for some reason. I know there's less people, but he does figure out a way to. He's just a good ball striker, so there's always going to be around it.
I like it.
All right, well, looking good there. And then Bubba, why don't you finish us out here on your bragging rights bet?
So I agree with Jay, but I didn't follow that theory. I bet on the night of the pod, but I bet when I knew we wouldn't be recording. So I've got the Dodgers later on tonight, and I've got the Blue Jays later on tonight, and then I've got the Nuggets tomorrow +5. I think they're going to have a bounce-back game. And then I took the over in the Golden State Timberwolves game tonight, over 201. So I'm hoping the Timberwolves score a shit ton of points, and the Warriors don't embarrass themselves and get to 90 at least, or 88, and the Timberwolves hopefully blow them out. But I got over. I bought a half point down to 201. So 25 is going to win me 232. So if we all win our bragging rights this week, we'll default to, I'm assuming, I don't know what's in the rule book, but the highest payout, right? So Jay, even if we all win, you're going to get some bragging rights.
It's the highest odds. Yeah.
Well, it's going to be hard. I mean, Bubba, you and I got the opposite end of that Denver game. So one of us, no matter what, one of us probably
That's
is
true.
out.
Yep.
So,
yep.
Yeah.
2 men enter, 1 man leave.
Someone's got to get one though. We got to get back on the W train for bragging rights.
Yeah, that's it. But hey, real quick, I forgot to bring this up. I saw this stat last night. Starting at $10, because the second round's been kind of cuckoo. The Knicks winning 2, the Pacers winning 2, and then both Denver and Golden State snagging the first games. If you started at $10 money line plays on the underdogs, and you just rolled your winnings, you'd currently be up $30,892.
Wow,
it'd be nice.
Isn't it easy?
Yep. Now, again, if you rolled at 30,000 last night on Denver, you would have lost it. So hopefully, if you went to 6-0, then you kept it. Realized $10 into 30,000 is a good enough profit. You took it and ran.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, that is the bragging rights parlay segment, which means we're coming to the end of the podcast here. So, as always, everybody, like we started off with, this is really about you guys. We want to hear from you. Send in your tickets, please. Obviously, we hope you're listening to the pod wherever you pod, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, anywhere you go there. But follow us on the socials: Instagram @CasualChaosLive, TikTok @CasualChaosLive, X @CasualChaosLive, Blue Sky @CasualChaosLive. If there's another social, we may or may not be on it. If we are, it's @CasualChaosLive. So find us. Send in your tickets. You can DM us. You can message us. If you know us, text message us. If you're following us on YouTube, comment. We want to hear from you. If you like the podcast, if you don't like the podcast, if you don't like what Bubba's wearing, let us know. And, we probably should get something going. Babyface Bubba versus full bearded Bubba, because I see the beard is back. So let's get some comments going. Let's see what everybody has to say. I'm done talking. So if you guys have everything, let's get a shout out and a goodbye.
Send us your freaking tickets, guys. We need tickets. It's all about you guys. I'll just reiterate what Jay said. We need some tickets. There's plenty of different ways you can send them. The best way is DM, Instagram. Send us winners, send us losers, send us reactions to your buddies, or your family members, or spouses hitting bets. Send us some good stuff, and we'll make sure we repost it, tag you, give you all the credit. But it's all about you guys for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we put up this pod once a week, but we put up other videos almost daily. So like Jay said, interact, comment, thumbs up, follow, get in touch.
Tell us we suck. Tell us we suck. Tell us anything.
We don't suck, Bubba.
No.
We don't.
I know that. I just want to get somebody to interact.
That's it. Well, like Bubba said, if you have a spouse that bets more than you, feel free to DM us and let us know what your secret is, because that sounds awesome. But in the meantime, we're going to be coming back next week. So this will be up tomorrow. Again, anywhere you pod, check us out. Otherwise, we will see you next week. Great job, guys. Always having fun. Thanks. We'll see everybody next week.
Right.
Peace
Bye,
out.
Later. Hi, everyone. This is JayAsh, one of the hosts of the Casual Chaos podcast you are about to listen to discusses gambling and wagering on sporting events. Please be advised the gambling and sports wagering content during this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only and does not constitute financial or gambling advice. Sports wagering involves significant risk. If you choose to gamble, please do so responsibly and only gamble with funds that you can comfortably afford to lose. All opinions, wagering tickets discussed, or implied wagers on the Casual Chaos podcast are not guarantees to result in financial gain. You must be 21 years or older or of legal gambling age in your jurisdiction to participate in sports wagering. Please verify the gambling and sports wagering laws and regulations within your jurisdiction prior to placing bets. Listeners are solely responsible for their own wagering decisions and outcomes. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, help is available. Call or text the National Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-426-2537. We encourage everyone to engage with sports betting responsibly. The host and the Casual Cast podcast assume no liability for any losses incurred as a result of listening to this content.